Good morning, Integrated Topics students. This is Ms. Connor for today's date of February 9th, which is on a Wednesday, the year 2011. On today's class, you're going to need a pencil, calculator if you so desire, your activity packet, which was that white packet from last class. I need for you to take that out. And there was a collection of two white papers on the front desk. One of the papers that they collected, I also gave to my students last semester. Since we were doing word problems last class, I've noticed that a lot of people either forget or wasn't sure what operations went with what terms. So I gave them a copy, looks just the same as this, colorful, just as much as this, of the operations and their terminology for the operations. So when students are picking information from word problems, some of the words will indicate what operation you need to use. So like for example, for addition, if you see more than, increase by, total of, that means you're adding concepts. If you see minus, decrease by, less than, the difference of, that means you're using subtraction. For the multiplication is product of, percent of, twice, or just a word of, you're doing multiplication. For division, you'll see per or quotient, which is right here, or quotient of. For equals, is a big one. As much as or is the same as, is identified to or is equal to, will recognize equals. But inequalities, which we're going to start next class, which is February 11th and the 14th, we're going to start looking at inequalities. When you see is more than or is less than, we've seen more than and less than when they're just by themselves without the is in front for usually addition and subtraction. But when they talk about is more than or is less than, that means they're dealing with the inequalities. Or you can also look at most or at least as well. Okay? So they're using this paper as a reference, especially with the word problems, so they can have this with them. If anything, you can make a copy of it at home, and they can have a copy within their binders, wherever it may be. And so they'll have it when they're doing all classworks, and they can use that as a reference guide. Okay? So in addition, based on a lot of common errors I keep seeing, not so much with the elimination process, but more so with just solving for a variable. Like what to do first. Should I add both sides? Should I subtract both sides? Should I multiply first, then do this? Instead of doing that, I gave them a worksheet. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to upload it on my computer since I have so many blockage and everything going on this lovely website. Um, so I do have copies of that, but if you want to, you can easily look on Purple Math. You can look on any kind of guided website, math website. You can probably go to the county website, look under the math department, and look for homework help. When you go under that, solving for linear equations with one variable was what I was doing. So a lot of the stuff they were solving, it was a total of 8 problems. And they were basically solving for one variable, and the variable was x. So there was multiple things they had to do. They had to do the distribution distributive property, sorry. They had to do adding, they had to do subtracting, did whatever they can. So I just basically broke it step by step how to solve for a one variable. Well, the variable in this case was x, okay? So since I can't have it on my website, you can at least go to a math website, or you can go to the county website and look under homework help and go to any of those listings just to help you with solving a single variable, okay? After that, we did an activity, just walking around, activity almost like musical chairs. Each student had an equation, and what they did was I played music from someone's iPod, which was hilarious. Censorship is very vital when you do this. They walked around. Once the music stopped, they paired up. They got their two equations and they had to solve their equations either through substitution. Remember, one goes in, one comes out, or through that linear combination, that whole elimination process, okay? So either I had same number, same sign, or same number, different signs, okay? So after we did that, I gave them another practice sheet that dealt with solving systems of equations through elimination. So it was a problem. It was 8 problems again. It was just like one of those clues or one of those little math quiz type things. And it says, what is the politically correct phrase for detention? Okay, so that was the title of it. So if you look and your child's like, oh, I don't have any homework. Yes, he does. Or yes, she does. It was a total of 8 problems. They had to solve it either through, I think it was they solved it through substitution or they solved it for elimination. So they can do either method to solve for their point of intersection. Okay? So again, we had our lovely word operation terminology sheet. Then we worked a little bit more with solving through elimination. And I gave them more homework for the elimination substitution combo. And for next class, which will be on the 11th and the 14th, they're going to create an assessment. So they're going to create their own system of equation, okay? And they're going to solve it on one sheet of paper. They're going to fold that sheet over so they can like do like what's called a hot dog fold. So they'll have like one side of the sheet with their system of equation already answered, and the other side of the sheet they're actually going to write just the system. So we're going to cut that in half, and then one side's going to go to one person, and the original owner is going to have what's called the answer key. So we're going to quiz them that way. So it's more student produced. And after that, we're going to go right into inequalities, solving one inequality and also dealing with the graphing and the shading. All right. So again, if there's any questions, any problems, you can email me, you can contact me when you hit the contact me button. And also, if your child needs assistance, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm in room C107. And on Friday, I'm in the Media Center. And Ms. Cabanel will be in my room on Fridays in C106.